And let me have appearances, please.
Lee Heiss, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Grant.
Chelsea Grant with the department.
Michael McFarland, representing father. Please introduce yourself.
Jacob Bates, I'm the father.
Karen Mom for mother. The mother.
All right. Ms. Heiss, I look forward to your report whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. I contacted Mom for our visit, and she is in complete command of this very busy schedule. So she helped me to see the child in person at Ivy Rehab, and she has a one-on-one provider there. I saw her there, and she's adjusted to being away from her mom and dad at this environment, and they one-on-one allow her to swing. And then when it's time for her to transition and go to a different activity, she doesn't want to do it. And I watch them handling her resistance, and very kind, very appropriate. They sit with her, they encourage her, they entice her, and there's other kids doing their own things. And it's a great environment for this child to be in. I think that since the beginning of this case, all these diagnostic tests have shown us her needs, and they are being met. She in her mother's care. Her father's visit reports are good. There's lots of strengths there. This psychological evaluation, though, is from a new group, and I don't see our normal testing measures, so I'm not sure if we can add to what we have so that we can serve these folks accurately and know for sure what the issues are. For example, if there's an IQ issue, and we could follow up with that and get further information. But other than that, her needs are being met in her current placement, and I have no further comment. Thank you.
Testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. And if I inquire from the attorneys if their parents, if their clients would like to testify, so I can call them right now, or if they want to do the direct, I can defer to them.
My client does not.
Ms. Mills prefers not to testify as well.
Okay. All right, then I'll call Ms. Grant. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. Ms. Grant, you have provided us with a court report for today's hearing, and your cover letter indicates that there are 10 documents total, including the court report. Are there any updates or modifications that you're aware of that need to be made to your court report or any of the documents that you've put into it?
There is not.
Okay. And at this time, the child remains in the home primarily with mom. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay. And dad's parenting time looks like it's taking place twice a week for 6 hours each time?
Yes.
Okay. And that is unsupervised at his residence?
It's kind of a mix. So he gets some time with our parent aid provider, Linda Edwards, and then a majority of the other time is essentially unsupervised, but his mother is there quite often during most of those parenting times.
And has there been any discussion about expanding parenting time for him?
Explaining or expanding?
Expanding, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no, I think you glitched. I apologize. We've kind of reviewed it and looking at, the concerns right now that are still being addressed during parenting time. And then additionally, some of the things that were reported in the psych, we have not looked at expanding additional parenting time yet.
One of the, I think probably the main reason this case came before the court was really the parents' struggle and co-parenting and interacting in a way that was healthy for themselves, but also for their child. Your report indicates that there's been some progress. Is there anything else that you can tell us about any changes you've noticed in the last reporting period?
Sure. So in the very beginning of the reporting period, there was lots of struggles. They were still in that very, I think I refer to it as nitpicking, the best way I could refer to it. So they would get upset with the other about very little minor things that were not significant, that required CPS to kind of step in, diffuse the situations on those. As the reporting period has progressed, they have done better in communicating, depending on if the weather's bad, and moving and pick up and drop offs or times, or one parent had a funeral, so the other was able to step up and get the child a little earlier for the other parent to attend a funeral. They have navigated those situations pretty well, kind of on their own. The only time they had involved me was just to make sure, like, hey, can we do this? Is this okay? Asking permission. They've used that app Close pretty regularly. I would say that when we're talking about ongoing communications, there are times where each of them struggle, where, we have mom who lays out very detailed reports of this is the child's next dentist appointment, child's next doctor's appointment, next, whatever appointment she may have. A week or two may pass and dad may go back and ask, well, what is the appointment schedule? Well, it's in the app, you just have to scroll up, but he really struggles with being able to do that and make that recognition kind of on his own. We've talked about that, like making sure he's maybe keeping a calendar or keeping those kind of scheduling, like ready to go. So overall with that, they are working on at least their communication in that sense. There are still some gaps or flaws, I should say, in their communication with any co-parenting that we're still trying to address. One thing right now is definitely with the visitation schedule. Each are wanting just a little bit of different change when it comes to pick up and drop off that the other either doesn't want to do or is having kind of like a, well, I do all of this. This needs to also be done. So we're still trying to navigate that little bit of change in the parenting time visitation plan that was submitted in the first court report, but they've done pretty decently well navigating after that.
And generally, your report reflects that both of them are in significant compliance with their case service plan. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay. So with the issues that Mr. Bates is experiencing with maybe remembering dates, times, even though it's sort of been an app close, based on I'm going to do a quote unquote psychological evaluation that was performed on him. This issue of like ADHD or needing medication, have you addressed that concern with him at all? And whether those two might be correlated?
Yep. So we had kind of like an entire family team meeting where we talked about the psychological. I had spoken with his therapist about it as well, who also got it and is going to work with him on those skills. The big issue with that psychological is it is a newer, I guess, company to us. And there was a lot of testing that are just pretty standard in a lot of our psychologicals that this company did not provide that we had noted. So it is possible where we explored if he went to MRS at the time. So when we first had the psychological come in, one of the recommendations was for him to go to MRS. He hadn't gotten employment or anything yet to kind of help with looking at those psychological or cognitive functions that he might be lacking. However, there wasn't a lot of follow through. Once he turned in the application and they reached out to him, they had stated that they couldn't get a hold of him to close out the case. Then he had gotten employment, reached out to them. They said, well, now that you have employment, there's not really a whole lot we can help you with unless you lose employment or want to do that again. So we are looking at possibly getting those additional tests for him that are usually pretty standard in psychologicals that wasn't in this with this company, and exploring like how can we best help him and support him with those needs.
Thank you for that. And as it relates to mom, it looks like she's been pretty proactive in finding another provider that can meet her needs. Do you know if that working with that therapist has started yet?
She did have one a session with them. The issue for her is that he does want to see her weekly, which her copay would create kind of a little bit of a financial burden to her. So I did reach out to our funding specialist to see if through, and excuse me, I can't remember the funding's specific title at this point, that it qualifies under, to see if we could cover the copays for that under it, since it's per our recommendation, since we don't have a contract with them.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to highlight from your court report? There's just so much information here that I don't want to spend too much time going through each and every document, but it really seems that the child's needs are being met. The autism spectrum disorder evaluation was completed. She's in her ABA therapy with IV rehab. So it seems like all of her needs are being met. Is there anything that is still outstanding that needs to be addressed for her benefit?
So right now, it looks like we're waiting for the first, I guess, reporting period evaluation. So one thing with this case of why it came here also is because the child was not in any long-term services. She would stay for a couple months, leave, go to a new service, start over again. So the parents have done pretty, I mean, Shayla, you have also done pretty proactive in finding the place, Brighton, to do this evaluation. Both parents attended the CMH appointments to get her the referral for the ADA therapy, which has been starting. And it looks like tentatively, I think she's due for a reassessment at the end of January. I'm not sure the actual, it's not called an IEP for them. It's like an individualized treatment plan, but I believe that her review of that and her progress of her goals is stated for the end of January, which is the first reporting period of her, being in that service for a substantial amount of time.
And then generally, with regards to the LNL parent aid reports for dad, are there any concerns that you think the court should know about, or any areas that are being worked on with Ms. Edwards?
Sure. So Ms. Edwards, a couple of main areas that she has focused on in her reports is really Jacob's ability to identify needs. So he may have her and, sorry, I keep trying to not say her name, not recognize that maybe she is hungry or might need a diaper change. So those are things she's had to reiterate with him. There were some positives noted in there, and he was taking notes when they were talking about things, and he had a notebook, but then that notebook kind of fell off because he lost it or wasn't utilizing it. Same thing with the calendar. I know his mom does keep a calendar, but I did bring up, like, what if you kept your own personal calendar? But then it comes into, he's worried about losing it again, like he had lost the notebook with the updated notes. So there's just a general day-to-day parenting that he's kind of struggling with unless someone is reminding him. I know one big thing that Ms. Edwards had pointed out is that, and I think this kind of goes back to needing additional tests and supports for him, in the sense that he has always had somebody really doing things for him. And there's a lot of concern that he's unable to meet the needs of his daughter on his own without some kind of support, especially like his mom reminding him and those kind of things. Not saying not having family support is a bad thing, but that if we're talking day to day or only having her for 6 hours a day and still struggling, that would raise some alarm for concern moving forward to expanding his parenting time.
And it looks like he has completed some parenting classes, I believe, through Care Pregnancy Center.
He has.
Okay.
And he's able to, I'm sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
I was just saying, he's able to regurgitate, the things he's learning in them, and like recognizing that his behavior and his actions, like his daughter is a sponge. We have both me and L&L have encouraged him to maybe take the basics training. He is doing, I think, the autism right now, and then he's on deck to do a co-parenting one, but also making sure we're addressing like the daily needs and basics of a kiddo.
And so I was going to just ask, so mom is on the wait list for the My Family program through Orchards. Will that also service dad, or is it just for mom's home?
At this point, we were just planning it for mom's home, since dad does have Miss Edwards, who's doing both the visitation and like supportive parent aid services. We didn't want to load him up on too many services, or is kind of like a failure, especially because she's in the home working with him when she has the kiddo, or he has the kiddo. So that My Family will be either Orchards or Samaritas, actually, whoever has an opening first.
Okay. And because of the domestic violence component in this case, looks like mom was addressing that with her therapist. Is that something that she can continue with her new therapist? Are you aware?
So that's something we have to look into. One of the orders for the courts was to get, domestic violence right away, but I had called several providers in our area, including Trillium, Brene, Family Counseling and Resources. A lot of them don't provide the domestic violence curriculum anymore. So that's one reason why we did the referral for My Family for Shayla. But to cover both bases, just in case her new therapist isn't able to do it, but she just got her new therapist, I think, the week of Thanksgiving. So we haven't had much time to explore what his options are moving forward, I guess I should say.
All right. And is there anything else that you'd like the court to know about referrals and any services for the parents?
All right, I don't think so. I think I covered a lot.
I couldn't hear that.
I'm sorry, I don't think so. I think I covered a lot. My apologies.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor, and would move to admit the court report and its attachments.
No objections.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. They are received. I'm going to jump in. I have a couple questions. First, thank you for making sure that the psychologicals have gone to the counselors for the parents, and for finding some materials to help with domestic violence. That's above and beyond, and I just want to make sure I let you know I appreciate that.
They're still pending to be delivered, but they're ordered.
Great. So I'm looking at the psychologicals, and I'm wondering, are we like, because one of the things that really is pretty useful, and I think could be very useful as it relates to dad, is that child abuse potential inventory screen that we sometimes see in Dr. Haugen's, for example. So I guess I'm just curious what you're going to be looking at as far as additional evaluations psychologically.
So when we would look at it, it would be this kind of the same testing that was in Miss Mills, but I can add the inventory if they have it. I'm not sure.
It's like a CAPI is the abbreviation.
Okay.
Child abuse potential inventory.
I'm sure, I know Dr. Frangie would probably be able to accommodate it without an issue. It would just be, I'm not sure that this other provider is able to do all those things, because typically when we do a referral, those things are pretty standard. Even the basic ones that Miss Mills completed, so it would be something we'd have to either follow up with them or possibly do a new referral for him to address those things and make sure they're in there. I know there had also been some concern about processing an IQ. So, and I don't know if that's something Miss Ranger could do, or if that's something we do need to really look at MRS, if that's something we need a specific referral.
Okay, well, I'm glad it's on your radar. Thank you. Is there a psychiatric evaluation lined up for mom in this one based on what was identified in her psychological? Or maybe
So
something?
she is already getting medication?
Perfect, okay, because I saw that she's at family medical. But I
Yes.
didn't see that.
I did not provide it to her medical provider for that, but if that's something the court wants us to look into, we can definitely do that. She is on medication.
All right, as long as they know what he found, I think, and are able to look at that with regard to what they're doing with her, I think that could be useful. All right, questions, Ms. Dumont?
Mr. Grant, just a comment first. Ms. Mills did indicate that to me, just now that her new therapist can do DV therapy. So I know you will just need to confirm that. But other than that, it looks like in the court report, she's compliant with almost everything. What do you wish for her to focus on between now and the next review period?
So we're gonna really focus on the therapy, the DBT, addressing the issues in the site. I know that she and I have talked about her co-parenting is kind of one of her big things moving forward because she doesn't want to be in this situation again. And then also just making sure we're addressing anything for her child. I know that she has been on top of pretty much anything that I've said, hey, or she comes to me and goes, I already did this. And I'm like, okay, you're ahead of me then. Good job, which is what I would want for a parent. Thanks.
Mr. McFarland?
Did I hear you that Ms. Linda Edwards is instructing my client some parenting time things?
Yeah, she's doing like the like supervised parenting, parent aid, that service for him. Yes.
Okay. Is she licensed in the state of Michigan to do that?
We have a contract. I'm not sure if she has a license.
Does she have any accreditations from the state of Michigan?
I'm not aware. I'm not sure.
Well, my question to you, is she just a lay person, or does she have any specialized training in assisting parents? I mean, I know she's been doing this, but I'm aware can she actually testify in her field as an expert of some type?
I'm not sure what the credentials would be for her to be an expert witness, I guess, is if that's what you're asking.
What are her credentials to teach parents? I guess that would be my next question.
Well, hers is to be an aid to kind of help him with parenting and what daily needs and things are, like she does with a lot of our other cases and parents.
Right. But she doesn't have any credentials. She's just a lay person. Is that my understanding?
Again, I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure.
okay,
I know we have a
I'll-
contract with her and that's where
Okay.
we did the referral, so
I'll move
I
on.
can't speak to that.
My client indicates he's been diagnosed with bipolar, depression, ADHD.
Mhm.
What are we doing under the American Disabilities Act to accommodate his diagnosis?
So that's one thing that when you ask him, he doesn't believe he has any like diagnosis or any, not I wouldn't say diagnosis, but any issues with all of that, where we're very much thinking that is part of his case and we'd like to get him some testing for that, to kind of help and assist with him
Okay,
in that.
and so that will be with whom and how soon?
Well, that's one thing we were just discussing, that we're looking into who we can do. MRS would typically do those, but since he's gotten a job and didn't follow through with that service, and then they stated that they wouldn't be able to help him moving forward, that's something we're gonna have to look at with getting him a new site with the full testing.
For my client's benefit and mine, MRS is what?
I'm sorry, Michigan Rehabilitation Services.
Okay, so that would be can his work hours accommodate that, do you know?
My understanding is it's only a couple of days a week. He was, I guess, on a temporary basis where he was on call and they were just having him come in whenever, and he was to be put on the schedule permanently right around Thanksgiving or the week before Thanksgiving. So I'm not quite sure what his schedules are. I think it's based upon their needs, and I believe it's only part-time, but it could be more hours if they are needed.
Lastly, since he may have some issues navigating electronic media, is there some way that we could have a schedule which he could just put a magnet on the refrigerator and take a look at that, old fashioned?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, grandma has a whole, or I guess grandma, his mom, however you want to look at her. She has a whole calendar that she keeps track of. Literally way more than I even asked her to keep track of, including like what happens during visitations, when she's eating, those kind of things. So he has that readily available hanging.
Okay. Okay. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
I have no questions today. Thank you.
Any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Any recross, Ms. Dumont?
No, Your Honor.
Very well, thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from today, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any witnesses, Ms. Dumont?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
No witnesses today. Thank you.
Comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we are asking for a standard review. It seems that the parents are definitely on the right path moving forward, which is always really great to see, especially so early on. Ms. Grant is very well versed in what else needs to be done, especially when it comes to further evaluations and assessments. So I can trust her that she would be making those referrals as necessary. I'm not sure if the other attorneys will ask, but it might be helpful for the parents and for Ms. Grant to sort of be able to step back if the court were to provide any guidance on parenting time, drop off, pick up, and just making sure that that's sort of clear across the board. But other than that, Your Honor, I think they're off to a good start and just want to congratulate them on that. Thank you.
Comments, Ms. Dumont?
Your Honor, Miss Mills is doing really good. She's got a new home. I believe DHS was able to look at that and approve that as well. She's working full time. She did her psych evals. She's done numerous classes. I believe those certificates are attached to the court report. She's doing her individual therapy. So I think if she continues down the road she's already doing, I don't know how long services will be needed at this point.
Thank you. Mr. McFarland?
I think the court has heard my concerns, and we also share the same concerns regarding the psychologist. So.
Ms. Heiss?
I have no further comments. Thank you, Your Honor.
Very well. Court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review hearing. I am glad to see the parents are engaged in their services. Thank you for doing that. It's not always the easiest thing to do, is to admit your weaknesses and then tackle them. So credit goes to you for jumping in like you have. We'll look for continued progress in those areas and continue to ask our caseworker to dedicate reasonable efforts like she has in this last report period in assisting you in those areas in the case services plans that have been identified. It will be the order of the court that the child will remain placed with mom with the visits with dad. And if that needs to expand or be modified again, I too trust Ms. Grant to have a look at that as Mr. Bates continues to make progress in his case services plan. We will have our next review Monday, February 24th at 1:30 p.m. Given that the child is in home jurisdiction with mom, I don't think we'll need to do a permanency planning hearing right away. So that'll just be our regular review. The order will further reflect, of course, that Ms. Heiss is in satisfaction with the guardian ad litem with her efforts. Thank you. And thank you to our attorneys as well. Unless there's any questions.
Should my client wait in the hall for a copy of the order?
Not today. I think I have, yes, we have good. Well, I think your client doesn't have an email address.
Well, he just informed me he does, so off the record, he'll provide that.
Yes, I can provide you your court report in the next few days, or court order in the next few days. Our first regular review, may have the names of our participants, please.
Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. De La Garza.
Brandy De La Garza, I'm the foster care worker from Fostering Solutions.
Michael McFarland, representing father. Dakota, please introduce yourself.
Dakota Hamblin.
Thank you.
Catherine Dumont covering for Ariel Berger for Miss Estes' mother.
Caitlin Estes.
Ms. Heiss, I look forward to your report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I visited with the child in person. Mother allowed me to observe a visit with her. And as you can see from her pieces that she's gonna put into evidence. Her parenting skills, meaning face-to-face with the child, are really nice to see. She was very warm with the child. She was responsive to him. There's a actually called tummy time, and she knew to put the baby on his tummy and have him, excite him so that he looks up to strengthen his muscles. Before I read the report, I noted that, again, like a sibling of his, he isn't turning his head to the right, but he is very much to the left. And I remember that being an issue that we worked through with the other parent with the other child, and here we see it again. But I want to acknowledge that those skills, she has some nice skills, and I want to say that outside of that, you still have to be able to have a roof over their head and feed them meals and be consistent. However, I want to extra emphasize that domestic violence is our issue. So when we get to mother's exhibits, she's indicating that she's hoping to teach her children to do better, but I think the only thing that counts is showing them better. If you say the words, I don't know what kind of an education that is when you do differently. So what we need mom to do and dad to do is really master these domestic violence cycles that we've been in for a long period of time, which the court report kind of bears out that we may not be there yet with the personal protection order being dismissed. But I would ask you to consider this child as in non-relative foster care where his needs are being met in a home that's appropriate. And I think the placement should continue before our next review in 90 days. Thank you.
Thank you. I should note too, it looks like the initial disposition for the father in this case was continued as we were looking for confirmation on paternity. So any comments or presentation on that before we move forward, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. The affidavit of parentage is included in that court report, so I can have Ms. Garza sworn in to provide the report. But from my understanding, she has discussed this case service plan with Mr. Hamblin. He's been semi-working on that already, and is in communication with Ms. Garza as well.
Thank you. So just to clarify for the record, we have the review for mom, the initial disposition for the father, and then it's also marked as a pregnancy planning hearing. So
My client did wish to avail himself of the DNA, Your Honor, just to let the court know.
that was ordered at the last hearing in September. So that is an option.
I would still like the DNA test before you accept the AOP as determinative of his legal parentage.
Well, I think I have to recognize it, but I'm not foreclosing off the DNA.
Okay. Thank you.
Because as long as it exists, I have to recognize it exists, but I'm open to allowing the DNA test to continue to move forward. All right. Where would you like to start with, Ms. Thomas?
I'll start with Ms. Garza. Thank you. Ms. Garza, is it okay if I refer to you as Brandy?
Yes.
Okay. Brandy, you are the foster care worker for this family, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And today you have provided the court with and the parties with a court report, including the case service plan for both parents, ICWA documents, some drug screens as it relates to dad, the child's affidavit of parentage, some of the court documents regarding the prior PPO and domestic violence charges or assault and battery charges, and then letters from the child's physical therapist and doctor. Are there any other documents that you have circulated since you filed the court report?
Just the documents that Ms. Estes had given me.
Okay. And then as relates to your court report and the attached documents, are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to those?
The only correction is that on page 5 of my court report, near the bottom, it says that Mr. Hamlin participated in a psych eval on 12/2, but he actually missed that appointment. But that was the only correction from what I had turned in.
Okay. As relates to Mr. Hamlin, I will go through his portion first. Was DNA testing offered to him?
Yes, and actually, he and the child both, completed DNA testing, but we're still waiting for the results.
Okay. Has he expressed any concern that the child is not his?
No,
And has he expressed any concern that he does not want to establish a relationship with this child if he does not have that DNA testing back?
he has not to me, no.
All right. During this review period, were you able to discuss with Mr. Hamlin the proposed case service plan?
Yes,
And to the best of your knowledge, you believe that it adequately would address the conditions that cause the child to come into care?
yes, I do.
And is the goal for the child reunification at this time?
Yes.
Okay. And what are the current barriers as it relates to Mr. Hamlin for reunification with his child?
That would be, a lot of the same barriers that brought the child into care, which are housing, the domestic violence, ongoing issues and history, emotional stability, and parent education.
During this review period, has Mr. Hamlin been subject to daily breathalyzers?
He was, but as soon as the charges were dropped, he's no longer doing that.
In your report, I believe there are 2 pending drug screens that you haven't received results for. Have you gotten those back yet?
Yes, I have.
And were they positive for anything?
The one from 11-4 was positive for THC, and the other one was negative for all substances.
So then during this review period, there were positives on September 12th and September 23rd. Were those positive for his medication though?
Yes,
Okay. So that's not being used against him, is it?
correct.
Okay. And then there's screens from 9/25 and 10/14 for THC. And then the one from 10/7 was the positive for alcohol. Those 3, were they sent to the lab for confirmation?
Just the one for the alcohol from 10/7 was.
Okay. And you have included that confirmation in the court report?
Yes.
Okay. Are there concerns about Mr. Hamlin's sobriety at this point in time?
Yes.
Does he continue to deny any use?
Yes, he does.
Okay. And to date, has he participated in any of the substance abuse treatments that he qualified for through his substance abuse assessment?
Since the last court hearing that we had, he was participating in therapy, which included discussing substance abuse issues. However, he did not attend in October, and in November he did attend therapy on 11/11, but then missed his appointment since then. And I spoke with his therapist today, and she said that she does not have any other appointments scheduled because of how inconsistent he is.
Have you discussed, it looks like there's also just a few times where parenting time was canceled because lack of confirmation. As it relates to not confirming for parenting time and not engaging in these other services like the domestic violence treatment or consistent with therapy, has Mr. Hamlin expressed to you any barriers to his compliance with those areas?
He did state that, it's difficult for him to confirm for parenting times because of the service that he has where he lives. But I have given him different options of, confirming the night before. I've given him the option of calling and leaving me a message. Or, sending a confirmation and then taking a screenshot right away so that it shows what time he sent it. But he still, including today, has failed to confirm for visits.
And has he mentioned any other barriers to participating in other services?
Just his work schedule, I believe he stated one time.
And as it relates to Miss Estes, how would you generally describe her compliance with and benefit from her case service plan?
I would say that she's doing well. She has been participating in the Orchards parenting education program. She's also done parenting education through the MSU extension that's online. She's participated consistently in therapy through the shelter and also through Family Medical Center. She's still working on housing and trying to get a vehicle so that she's able to get herself back and forth to those things. But she is currently employed. And she also, through the Catherine Cobb, is working on the domestic violence portion of that. My only concern with Miss Estes would still be the domestic violence, which I have also expressed to her. It is concerning to me that she dropped the PPO on her own. It's also concerning to me that she was uncooperative, which is why they dropped Mr. Hamblin's domestic violence charges. So although she does say that she's, has no interest in being in a relationship with him and things like that, it is still concerning for those things that she's done.
In your report, you also indicate that the parents' reports to you about their plans on whether planning together or separately are also somewhat inconsistent with one another. Can you just elaborate a little more on that?
Yes. So Ms. Estes has stated to me that she does not want a relationship with Mr. Hamblin. And even recently, some things have come to light since she's dropped the PPO, like him constantly trying to contact her and pressure her into doing things like having an FTM together. So she has stated that, while on the other hand, Mr. Hamblin has said that they do want to be in a relationship. They do want to case service plan together. They want FTMs together, all of those kind of things. So it's totally different information what I'm getting from the both of them.
In your report, there's a note about them having contact and being seen together in person or having seen one another in person. Have you discussed that with Miss Estes?
Yes, she is the one that had stated that to me.
Okay. And did she provide you what her intent was or the purpose of that communication or contact with Mr. Hamblin?
No, I mean, to discuss things about Jasper, but other than that, I'm not sure.
Okay. And do you have any reason to think it might be more than just discussing things about the child?
I could speculate that, yes.
Okay, but okay, we can talk to the parents about that. All right. And at this time, what would be the risk of harm or the barriers to reunification with Miss Estes?
Just the domestic violence and emotional stability. I know she's still working on that since the case just since the child just came into care recently. And I know she's also working on housing still.
And is there any plan to increase her parenting time?
They were both each parent, I should say, was getting 1 hour. We moved that up to 1 hour twice a week, and now they currently are offered two times a week for 2 hours each.
Her parenting time for dad, I believe your report indicates that there is a referral for orchards as well.
He was referred to Orchards back in October. However, I spoke with them today as well, and they said that they closed services because he only met with them once or twice, I believe, and has not met with them since November 4th.
One of the strengths both of these parents have is employment. Have any budgeting courses or materials been provided to them?
Budgeting is one of the things that Orchards was working on with them, setting up a budget based on what their income is.
Okay. All right. And generally speaking, the child, he's doing pretty good.
Yes, he's doing very well. He did have physical therapy, as Ms. Heiss said, for the torticollis. He had it 3 or 4 times. And they discharged him from that because they said that he was doing well and that they just needed to continue working on stretches and things like that at home and during parenting time visits. And I know Dad was, Mr. Hamblin was still concerned with the shape of the child's head. So we did go back to the regular PCP, and she stated that they would keep an eye on it, but because he was discharged from PT, that they're not super concerned right now.
Is there anything else from your court report that you'd like to highlight, or from your knowledge of the case that you believe the court should know?
Nope, just as I stated, that the domestic violence still seems to be of concern.
Do you believe that there is sufficient progress to continue towards the goal of reunification?
I do for Mom at this time. I know Dad is just getting adjudicated today, so I'm not really sure, but I don't feel like he's making enough progress to continue.
Okay. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Sala and would move to admit the court report with the proposed case service plans for both Dad's initial disposition and Mom's review, hearing in the permanency planning portion.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. They are received. Questions? Ms. Dumont.
So Garza, was Miss Estes supposed to be substance drug screening for substances as well?
Yes, she is drug screening.
Okay. And what are the results of her drug screens?
They've all been negative.
Okay. So do you have any concern at this point with any substance abuse issues?
No.
And how are her parenting time visits going with the minor child?
I would say that they do well. I don't do all of them, but I have done some. And she does really well with engaging with him, keeping, her phone and other distractions out of the room or out of mind. I've seen her doing tummy time with the child. I've also seen her doing things like trying to get him to look towards the side that he doesn't really prefer, so that, she's working on the stretches and things like that.
Would you have any objection at this point to recommending her to have more supervised parenting time?
I would not be objected to that.
Okay. And then I know one of her obstacles is finding housing, and she's done significant work on that herself. I think she can get some sort of help from housing help, but she just needs to find a place in her budget. Is the department able to help her search or find something or help her fill out applications?
Yeah, I know, like you said, housing help has been helping her a lot, and I know Catherine Cobb has helped her a lot as well. But yes, I can absolutely make a list after researching and seeing what places are available.
So with this next review period, what do you think she needs to focus on the most?
I would definitely say, continue with, searching housing, continue with her employment. Continue with the therapies that she has to continue working on that, and attending parenting time, continuing to attend the orchard service, and just really continue working on domestic violence.
Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Another possibility for mother not cooperating on domestic violence case would be that it didn't happen, correct? That'd be another possibility.
Yeah, and I would object to that question just as it's argumentative.
I don't think it's argumentative whatsoever, Your Honor, but there may be other reasons that that's been done rather than, I mean, the suggestion was you just, I guess I don't see that being a question that is argumentative.
Okay, sustained, let's have a different question.
Okay. These tests, breathalyzer tests, these were done prior to my client having visits. Is that when they're done? The drug test?
Not always, no.
How about the one where he tested positive for alcohol, marijuana? When were they done in relation to a visit?
Sometimes they're done before the visit, sometimes they're done towards the end of the visit, but the day of the alcohol one, he was even stating that he didn't feel well, didn't really look like himself.
That's not my question to you is not how he looked, how he felt. It was the timing. So the test where he tested positive for marijuana, was that given in conjunction with a visit? Let me put it that way.
Yes.
And did the visit occur?
I take that back. I would have to look at the calendar to see if that was on a day that he had a visit.
Okay. Were any of his visits stopped because he appeared to be high under any controlled substances?
No.
Thank you. These tests, are the results instantaneous or do you have to send them out?
They were instantaneous through LDC, but they're no longer doing them, so we have to send them out. And we don't get them until days or sometimes a week after.
Of these two tests, in which one he tested positive for marijuana, was that done through LDC?
The 925 and 1014 were, but sometimes I don't find out until the next day from LDC.
Did you let him know that he could have an opportunity to retest someplace to prove those wrong if he wished?
No, I did not.
Well, can you tell us why we're not using LDC if these tests were taken by LDC? What your knowledge is?
They no longer have a contract with DHS.
Okay. Is that because there are issues with the accuracy of the results?
No.
Veterans Day, he has scheduled parenting time. That didn't occur because of a holiday, correct?
Yes.
Has that been made up?
It was not because of his work schedule.
He said he doesn't have any free time since Veterans Day until now. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, his schedule recently changed.
Okay,
So
so
we
now,
also did ask him about the family that he had mentioned on the FTM possibly supervising, but he has yet to give me his sister's number and his mom is not interested in doing those. Because we were going to use one of them to help with that.
what can your agency do? As if you agree it wasn't his fault that it didn't occur on Veterans Day, correct?
Correct.
So what can your agency do to secure its own representative to supervise a visit for my client now that his working hours have changed?
We could add an hour to another day during the week.
How long has this, when was it his timing schedule has changed?
I'm not sure exactly, but I don't think it's been even a month yet.
It's been a month. Why haven't you attempted to get a makeup parenting time for him?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
And then, my understanding is that visits, mother has her visit around 4 o'clock or something like that, and then father has a visit. Is that how it works? They try to get the visit on the same day?
We have them on the same day, but they're not back to back anymore because of their work schedules.
Okay. Well, there was a visit in which he called in half hour, 45 minutes late, and he was denied a parenting time, correct?
Do you know which day that was?
I do, because I was in communication with the attorney from your agency, so give me a second here. Your Honor, I'm just taking a look at my notes here. Okay, this would have been around November 18th.
Without looking at my phone, I'm not sure, but is that the one where he stated that he confirmed but didn't, and I offered him a different time?
Well, the court report, if I may assist, indicates that the agency canceled due to dad not confirming. Dad reported he didn't confirm because he worked a 16-hour shift. It's in the court report on page 7.
And that's why I'm questioning your Honor, because I don't think that's accurate. So is it true that the father called at 8:15 when he was supposed to call at 8, and he was then denied a parenting time? You have your notes that you can reflect?
I don't. I have it would be on my cell phone in the text.
Your cell phone's right here?
Yes.
You need that to refresh your memory.
If I could, yes.
Mr. McFarland, help me understand why we're going down this rabbit hole.
Well, I will tell you, because at that point in time, father overslept by 15 minutes. He was supposed to call by 8 for a parenting time. It was about 4 o'clock for him, and that was followed. His parenting time followed mom's parenting time. So it appeared to be fairly vindictive when he had plenty of time to visit the child when there wasn't a rational purpose for telling him he couldn't have a visit because he overslept 15 minutes. And it wasn't until the afternoon he could have had it without any inconvenience to the staff or to the placement. And that's where I'm reaching, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. McFarland, I see according to the court report that he's missed 3 visits, and at one of the visits where he failed to confirm, he was offered a visit anyway, and then he had some car troubles, and I don't see anything in here that's going to lead me to believe that Ms. De La Garza intentionally or vindictively refused a visit to your client. Not to mention, there's a lot of other areas in this court report where services have been offered to your client and he's not complying with those or giving efforts in those areas. So I really don't want to spend time wondering whether or not Ms. De La Garza vindictively canceled a single visit when I really don't have any definitive indications of that other than your client's testimony. Please move on to something else.
Okay, let me just ask a general question regarding parenting time. If this parenting time, let's say hypothetically, were in the afternoon and he calls a little bit after 8.
Okay, Mr. McFarland, not kidding. Please move on to something else. Thank you.
Okay, nothing further.
Any questions, Ms. Heiss?
I have no questions today, thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Any other witnesses today, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor. I will allow Ms. Dumont to get her client's documents into the record. Thank you.
Okay. And Ms. Dumont, would you like to go next?
Your Honor, my client indicated she did not wish to testify.
Very well. Do you wish to offer the documents? I mean, you sent them through Ms. De La Garza, but they have not been technically entered into evidence. Do you want to address that?
Your Honor, if the other attorneys would stipulate to the entrance of the documents that she provided to Ms. De La Garza, it just outlines her housing, her parenting classes, her certificates, and her pay stubs. So we would like the court to be able to, along with the letter, and we'd like the court to be able to review those.
I have received and reviewed them, and I appreciate having them ahead and have no objection. I would stipulate to entry of those into evidence.
Any objections?
Talking to my client, we're not sure about the accuracy of the self-reporting. It's our position.
All right, Ms. Dumont, does your client wish to offer testimony in support of the motion?
She'll testify.
Okay, all right, Ms. Estes, go ahead. Ms. Dumont.
Ms. Estes, did you provide your caseworker, Ms. Delgarza, with about 17 pages of documents?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain what those are?
They're all pertaining to my progress and my case service plan.
Okay. Is everything in your documents true and accurate as far as you know?
Yes.
And that document was named Caitlin documents, as far as you know?
Yes.
And you were on the email in which they were sent to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would propose the document that was sent to everybody that's called Caitlin documents at 17 pages to be admitted.
No objection.
No position.
Your Honor, I just would ask for a little bit of a foundation. I guess I'm trying to understand exactly what this is, and I think I do, but I don't want to make assumptions. So if I can just ask a few questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Estes, for the housing component, these phone numbers, it sort of says like you left a voicemail, or that you would need a vehicle or anything like that. So are you just saying that these are things that you're aware of, that these are just possible options for housing?
Those are apartments that I took time to go further into to see about opportunity for housing. I've left voicemails with different apartments, sent out emails for applications, and some of the places I've looked into, but I don't have a vehicle for transportation to be able to live in places like Morenci and Clinton. So those are just options for when I do have a vehicle.
Okay. And so the ones that you've listed as you've turned in applications to, have you heard back from any of those places?
I got a call this morning with one from Adrian Apartment Group that told me I was denied, but didn't tell me why. She just wanted to let me know so that I can continue looking.
Okay. Thank you for that update. And then it looks like maybe these are notes from classes that you've been taking, because they correspond with your certificate. So I just want to make sure these are just like your notes about what you learned in those classes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then I have no further questions, and I have no objection to the admission of their entry.
All right, thank you. They will be received. Do we have any other questions for this witness before I let her off the stand, Ms. Thomas?
About something other than the documents?
Yes.
Yeah, I do actually. Thank you. Ms. Estes, as relates to you've heard Ms. Heiss and Ms. Delgarza speak to their concerns about the domestic violence. So as it relates to dismissing the PPO and not cooperating with the prosecuting attorney's office, is there anything that you can tell us about your decision in that regard?
When it comes to the case that was dropped, I was told not to participate in that, and that's why it was dropped by the sexual and domestic violence advocate that works here. I'm not familiar with her name, I can't remember, but other than that, I dropped the PPO because I didn't believe that in my heart it was right to do that.
Can you just briefly elaborate what you mean by it was not right to do that? What was not right to do?
I don't believe a PPO was necessary.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland, any questions?
Yes, is there a possibility that there were statements supporting the PPO that might not have been accurate and prepared by somebody else? Might that be true?
The PPO was,
Let me rephrase. Before a PPO, there has to be a statement of what happened. And so I'm asking, is there a possibility that some of those things in that statement were not accurate?
no,
Okay. And you understand the DNA tests are going to be revealed pretty soon, correct?
I'm very aware.
Is there any possibility that there could be another father, biological father for this child other than my client?
No.
Nothing further.
Okay, Ms. Heiss,
No questions today, thank you.
thank you for your testimony. May I return to your seat?
Thank you.
Any other witnesses, Ms. Dumont?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
Let me ask. Sir, do you wish to take the stand and testify about anything? This is your chance.
I'll get on stand and answer questions.
Okay. Dakota, how do you think your case is going as it pertains to you?
I think it's unfair.
Please elaborate.
I think that with so when I first started working, my schedule was, I was working 6 days a week. I was doing like 70, 80 hours a week. And I felt like I was kind of being not punished, but it was looked bad that I wasn't prioritizing this case over work. And that was in the beginning. And then when my hours changed, it just seemed like there was always like I'm sorry, I'm kind of really flustered right now. It just seems like there's a biasness towards me. At the beginning, Miss Heiss was, very, she talked really good about Caitlin, about how she's seen him do tummy time and all that stuff. And nothing good is ever said about me here. I've done those exact same things that Caitlin does in parenting time. Put him on his stomach. I make sure he looks to the right to, get his neck muscle stretched out. I'm working full time. My hours are business hours, 8 to 5:30 or 8 to 4:30. I don't feel like I'm getting any kind of like leniency or any kind of I don't know. I just kind of, it just feels unfair.
Do you feel that you're able to keep the parenting time schedule as it is now?
Yes, as it is now, yes.
Do you still wish to have a makeup parenting time for that Veterans Day?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything inaccurate in the report that you wish to bring to the attention of the court?
I'd have to look at it again. There are a few things I don't want to say that are accurate, but kind of out of context or misconstrued. Calling me possessive, Brandy called me possessive because I demanded a FTM between me and I guess without going too much into it, there was some things that happened, between me and Caitlin, and I really think that it would be beneficial to sit down with our caseworker and talk about those things. And that's what I told her. I said, we need an FTM. I didn't I don't know where she got demanding and where I'm being possessive, but with the domestic violence allegations, to use that kind of wordage in the court report just kind of seems off. It just seems like why would you why? That's not true. I'm not being possessive. I just feel like it feels biased. I don't know what else.
Have we covered everything that you want the court to hear today?
I'm working. I'm trying to make it to my appointments. It's really hard. haven't been able to find any kind of after hour psychiatry or therapy. As far as parenting times, there has been a couple times where I've not confirmed in time. I do think that one time that I was 15 minutes late, I did just work 6 hours, overslept, and it just seemed, and it was right after 11:11, and that wasn't my fault. And I just felt like I could have seen my son. I don't see how policy can trump my right to see my son, especially like in a 15-minute, being 15 minutes, it just doesn't seem right to me.
Thank you. I'll see if any other attorneys have questions for you.
Yep.
Ms. Thomas?
Mr. Hamblin, isn't it true that you had confirmed late for visits in the past and were given the grace and permitted to have parenting time?
Once.
And that was before this November 18th or 16th date, is that correct?
Yes.
And were you provided a reminder of a signed agreement that you have with the agency about confirming by 8 a.m.?
Yeah, I
No, I
get.
guess I'm objecting. I'm not really sure if I can explore this, why the agency is able to explore this.
Well, you were given a certain amount of leeway in order to do that. So I will give a certain amount to Ms. Thomas to address the things that were addressed on record.
Okay.
So overruled, but limited.
Absolutely, Your Honor. Were you provided a reminder of the agreement that you signed with the agency about confirming by 8 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And has that been provided to you since the missed visit from November 18th?
Yes.
And as relates to the other services that you have not been able to participate in, is that your testimony that they're all based on your work schedule?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you haven't participated in the evening domestic violence classes with John Bailey because of your work schedule?
No, I didn't have the money at the time that I was told about it, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't believe that there is any domestic violence, and I think that it's all kind of bull crap. The way this case is going, the way the case is gone, it's just all bull crap.
And then for the psychological that was scheduled last week, what happened that you did not attend that one?
I just gotten a new car, and I don't believe that it needs a lot of work in the front end, and I just didn't feel comfortable driving that far away because I just had it for a couple days, so I didn't trust it.
Where was the appointment scheduled for?
Hillsdale.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have no further questions.
Ms. Dumont, any questions?
Mr. Hamlin, if you were to take a drug test today, would you be clean and sober for all substances?
Yep.
All right, I don't know what that word was. Can you clarify your answer, please?
Yes, I would be clean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Heise.
Mr. Hamlin, did you confirm for your visit today?
No, I wasn't up in time.
Thank you, nothing further.
Any redirect? Thank you for your testimony. Any other witnesses?
2 questions for the worker.
You can say where you are.
Thank you. When do we expect the DNA test results back?
I'm not sure. They did their DNA testing at the beginning of November. It usually takes about a month or so, but we're still waiting, so
As soon as you get the results, could you share them with me so I can share them with my client so he can decide how he wishes to proceed?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Right, anyone else have any questions for Ms. De La Garza?
No,
No, you're right.
No.
Very well. Any witness testimony today, Ms. Heiss?
no witnesses, thank you.
I look forward to comments in closing. Begin with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. On one hand, it's really nice to see the progress being made as relates to some of the basic elements of the case service plan. It's wonderful that both of these parents have had employment for a few months now, that they are having parenting time. I know there's some issues with Mr. Hamblin being able to get up in time and confirm that because of sleep or whatever else that might be. But I think the main concern that I am seeing in the court report and in testimony is the minimization of the conditions that cause this child to come into care. And the reason that there are 4 other children who have been part of this court's jurisdiction and are now adopted, to minimize the couple's toxic relationship patterns from both parents demonstrates that there hasn't been progress made from the last case with the other children, or that it's happened during this case at all. And that's a little concerning, even more so for Ms. Estes, because she is receiving services from Catherine Cobb. And then Mr. Hamlin just is like refusing to even enroll in the program with Mr. Bailey. I know this court wants to get permanency really early on, given the history of the case, and believe for one of the parents, this was an auto termination case because the conditions from the last case had not been rectified. And I'm concerned that we're still there. And so, Your Honor, I'm asking the court to consider a dual goal of reunification and adoption to see where we end up in the next couple of weeks, and whether the agency is going to need to look for permanency for the child elsewhere. With that, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Comments, Ms. Dumont?
Your Honor, Ms. Estes would ask the court to consider increasing her parenting time from 2 times a week to 2 hours each time to 3 times a week. She's deep into her case service plan. As can be seen with the documents that she's provided, she's being very introspective. She's in therapy. She's doing what she needs to do. She has money saved up for a car. She's trying to find housing. So hopefully by the next review period, she will have stable housing, continuing her employment, continuing her therapy, and her counseling with Orchards.
Mr. McFarland?
I haven't heard any testimony that 8 o'clock is not just some random number picked out for my client to call in, that it couldn't be 9 or it couldn't be 10 o'clock and still be sufficient notice to everybody involved, which would also deal with the hours that he's working and allow him to get some sleep or if issues happen. So we would ask maybe the court would indulge and allow the time that he calls in to be a little bit later than 8 o'clock, and that may resolve some of our issues. Other than that, I think he's expressed himself adequately. Thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just 2 points. The dad's housing in a camper on his mother's property, I think, is a pretty slippery slope in the cold weather for him to be inside with the other 4 children who have been removed and terminated from his care. Mother's issues, if mother had all the parenting education, all the housing, all the employment, and she still has what she showed today for domestic violence, it would be a no for me. So I'd ask you to consider changing the goal to adoption for this child. We weren't going to last long. This is the 6th and 7th children of these folks. They know what they're doing. They did themselves a lot of harm today. I thought they had a benefit of a doubt before they testified, but they're not making progress on domestic violence. If they had everything else, nutritional food and everything, and they're gonna fight in front of the children, and mom knows what that does to children in her own handwriting, she knows what it does. We can't trust these children, that the risk of harm is too high. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's initial disposition as it relates to Dakota Hamlin, as well as the first review as it relates to Caitlin Estes, as well as the permanency planning that would be discussed today. I do find reasonable efforts towards the goal of reunification are certainly being made, spearheaded by Ms. De La Garza, as well as the efforts made by Ms. Heiss are in satisfaction of her obligations as guardian ad litem. There are significant issues in the history of this case, as Ms. Heiss alluded to, and the domestic violence being downplayed today by both parents, frankly, does sort of tie my hands. It's very clear that Mr. Hamlin has no intention of undergoing any services for domestic violence. And frankly, I really was looking forward to celebrating some of the progress that has been made by Ms. Estes in many other areas. But also, if I can't get her to take seriously domestic violence in the household with the children, I can't justify further efforts on her behalf either. I will go as far as to say this is going to be a joint goal of adoption and reunification, but Ms. Heiss, her position seems extraordinary, given that this is the first review, but in light of how many times this court has been through offering services and asking for the agencies and the department and the attorneys to come to the table to try to support this family and these parents, it's very clear. And I suppose in some ways we should thank Ms. Estes and Mr. Hamlin for being so frank today about how they feel about domestic violence and understanding that we won't be seeing any real efforts to change those patterns in their relationship. So I suppose in some ways, thank you for your honesty today. I will note that I will not be expanding the window for visitation, and I would ask that if Mr. Hamlin would like to chat with his attorney next time, that be completed ahead of time as well, so that the court also doesn't have to wait 15 to 20 minutes to start the review hearing on their case. So we'll have our next review and permanency planning hearing in this file on February 24th at 2:30 p.m. But I will decline the request to expand parenting time. I'm going to leave that within the discretion of Ms. De La Garza to monitor and look at really what, if any, progress has been made by Ms. Estes in the area of domestic violence and contact and relations with Mr. Hamlin, who clearly, told us how he feels about it today. I just frankly cannot return a child to her care if she simply intends to allow the same patterns to persist. And it's not something that I can put a child into. It's an extreme high risk of physical and mental health. There's a long history between these two, and I do see some progress being made in some areas, but getting clean and sober is important. Getting a job, getting housing is important, but understanding that domestic violence can also be present even when you are sober is extremely important in making sure that there is a safe environment for the children. So for those reasons, I'm changing it to a dual goal. We'll have our next review and permanency planning goal February 24th at 2:30. The child will remain in the placement that is the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances for all the reasons that I articulated today, and that were support in that position certainly was supported by the GAL and the testimony and facts and circumstances I heard today. Here we are for a review on this case and a prelim as it relates to, second regular review for mom and the first review for father. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Carson Howard, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Natasha Thomas, counsel for the department.
De La Garza, the foster care worker.
Michael McFarland, representing father. I do not see him joining us by jail where he is lodged.
Yes, the jail is logged in. My assistant's going to call over right now to see if he can't secure his presence. Ms. Berger?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here on behalf of Mother Caitlin Estes. Caitlin, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Caitlin Estes, thank you. All right. Well, Mr. Hamlin has the opportunity, but not the obligation, to participate in our review hearings. We'll do our best to secure his presence or check it to see if he is voluntarily absent or involuntarily absent. But in the meantime, we do have a docket to keep. So let's start with Mr. Howard.
I was able to meet with the child and his placement in my office on February 19th. I observed him meeting multiple developmental milestones, such as looking for partially hidden objects and bringing objects to his mouth. He spends most of his time crawling. He's very mobile, but I guess it's not totally crawling. His placement referred to it as scooting. I had a conversation with this placement who are extremely bonded to the child. This is the only home that the child's ever been in. He's been there since birth, and they have multiple other children in the home who love to have him around and bonded with him as well. Due to the child's age, he did not articulate his wishes. I believe that this placement is in his best interest, and I do have some concerns over the contents of the court report, specifically surrounding domestic violence and how to move forward with that.
Okay, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll call Ms. Sala at this time. Ms. Sala, you provided a court report for today's hearing, and the cover page indicates that in addition to the court report, there are case service plans, a denial letter from the Cherokee Nation, forensic fluid drug screen results, photos of PTO. There's the DNA results, which I believe we're all aware of. There's an Orchard's termination report from mom, list of their email threads with dad's therapist, MSU extension certificates for parenting classes for mom, the MyCourt register of action, so to speak, criminal charges for dad, a psychological evaluation for mom, and then screenshots of contact or communication between the parents. And are there any other documents that you've provided to any of the parties other than the ones that I've listed?
No.
And to the best of your knowledge, are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to any of those documents?
No.
As it relates to this case, at this time, does the child still remain outside of each parent's care and custody?
Yes.
And is that in a licensed foster home?
Yes.
Were there any additional efforts to locate relatives during this review period?
Mom did name 2 relatives, not the previous report period, but the one before that, I believe. And we were able to complete both of the initial placement safety screenings, but both of the parties were denied by the agency.
I'm going to interrupt for just a second. So we had Mr. Hanlon appear to us by Zoom, and then, so he was in the jail Zoom room, and then all of a sudden the camera.
Yeah, I'm here, Judge.
Okay. Your name for the record, please?
Dakota Hamblin.
All right. Are you able to allow the video feed to come through?
Yeah, let me see here.
There we are. Thank you. Very good. If you could leave that on, please, so we know that you can hear and see everything that's going on. Thanks.
Alrighty.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Anna. Okay. At this time, do you believe that there is still a substantial risk of harm to the child if the child were to be placed with either parent today?
Yes, I did.
Can you briefly highlight what that risk of harm is?
The housing is still an issue. Criminality with Mr. Hamblin, excuse me, and substance abuse concerns still with Mr. Hamblin, and also the domestic violence is a big portion of that.
And during this review period, what efforts were made by the agency to address any barriers to reunification at this time?
We continue doing supervised parenting time. I did offer with Mr. Hamblin to do a parental home visit, which he declined numerous times. And we also were able to receive the psychological recommendations and continue doing drug screenings.
And the Orchards program was that also took place during this review period, correct?
Yes.
And at this time, given the, well, let me just ask a different question first. So during this review period, how would you describe the parents' level of compliance with and benefit from their case service plans? And especially considering the efforts put forth by the agency.
I would say Mr. Hamlin's were very minimal, if any at all. Miss Estes did complete the Orchards program. She's been doing screens, she's been attending parenting times. And she is doing therapy regarding domestic violence through Family Medical Center and also through Catherine Cobb. However, the domestic violence still is very concerning.
There's, I mean, your report sort of highlights this, but can you articulate the events that have taken place during this review period that make you concerned about domestic violence in this case?
Yes, so after the hearing that we had in December, where Ms. Estes had stated that she wanted nothing to do with Mr. Hamlin and she was not having contact with him and things like that. I did receive screenshots of proof that they had been together very recently before the court hearing actually. And also during this report period, Ms. Estes did take out a second or a different PPO against Mr. Hamlin that stated they were not allowed to text or see each other or anything. But it came to my attention that they were having contact and have been having contact, and that they had face-to-face contact with, which actually led to an incident, a domestic violence incident occurring, which is why Mr. Hamlin is currently incarcerated.
To the best of your knowledge, though, was that PPO active at the time of the incident in which Mr. Hamlin got incarcerated for?
I do not believe so. He was arrested on February 4th and Ms. Estes petitioned the court to drop the PPO on January 30th.
Have either the parents been open with you about the relationship and their intentions, or what knowledge do you have about their dynamics? I guess, is it coming from them, or how are you finding information out?
So Mr. Hamlin did give me some of the information following the last court hearing. I've also gotten information from Mr. Hamlin's mother of screenshots that were provided to me, and you know, stating that he is incarcerated and what had happened. And Ms. Estes has not been very forthcoming. I believe before the past hearing that we had, she would call me and give me updated information. And she continues to give me updated information about services. However, I did give her an opportunity to explain to me what happened on February 4th when Mr. Hamlin got arrested. But she at first denied it. And then when I was asking more questions, she did say that they had met face-to-face, something to do with having a storage unit together, but under his name.
To the best of your knowledge, what actually happened?
I'm still waiting for the official police report, but to the best of my knowledge, they met up face to face. Ms. Estes stated she was trying to get, I'm not sure if it was the keys for the storage unit or just get her things out of the storage unit, which led to him stating that he was going to kill Ms. Estes and then commit suicide himself, and then ended up choking her in the mix of that.
Do you have any idea what time of day this all happened?
I don't know what time the incident was exactly, but I believe he was arrested around 3 or 4 a.m.
And to the best of your knowledge, has there been any contact between them since he's been arrested?
The jail officers did tell me that her phone number is accepting collect calls from him while he's been in jail. Although there's no contact order currently.
And during this review period, what has parenting time looked like for the parents?
So both parents are offered 2 times a week visitation for 2 hours each. Miss Estes has attended all but 4, and 2 of those were actually excused, and so they were made up at a later date. Mr. Hamblin, he's attended 2 out of 22 visits that have been scheduled this report period, and those were back in December.
Are there any concerns about parenting time with Miss Estes?
I would say that she does well during parenting time. She's attentive to the child. The only concern I guess I would have is when the child becomes upset or is crying. Staff a couple times have had to step in and give suggestions about maybe things that she could try. And during one of the parenting times in January, because he was crying so hard, one of the supervisors asked if she wanted to take him to urgent care to see if there was something else going on. And so they did that. However, the doctors did not find anything.
And at this time, do you believe that there's sufficient progress or safeguards in place that you could comfortably recommend moving towards expanding parenting time or unsupervised parenting time for either parent?
I don't think so. I mean, at this time, Mr. Hamblin, like I said, has missed many visits. And Ms. Estes, although she is making progress in her case services, there is the significant concern still of domestic violence.
And generally, can you just provide an update on how the child is doing right now?
Yeah, he is almost 6 months. He's doing very well in the home. During my monthly home visits that I do, he's always very happy, learning new things every time I go out there. And is just progressing in all aspects.
Do you believe that the parents have made significant progress towards the goal of reunification during this review period?
I do not at this time, no.
Your Honor, I'm not sure. I know that at the beginning you stated it's our second review. Is this permanency planning hearing as well?
I know it's Mr. Hamlin's first review and Ms. Estes' second. So I can clarify that for you. It is set, yes, as a permanency planning hearing as well.
Given you just testified that there has not been sufficient progress to continue towards the goal of reunification, are you asking the court to reconsider the goal of reunification for these parents at this time?
Yes, we're asking that it be changed to adoption.
Is there anything else you'd like the court to know for today?
No.
Thank you. With that, Your Honor, I am asking the court to accept the court report with the attachments.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, thank you. They are received. Questions for this witness, Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. De La Garza, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
There are several things in the court report that look to be positives for Miss Estes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And can you talk to the court about those, please?
Yes, she, like I said, is participating in therapy through Catherine Cobb and also through the Family Medical Center. She continues taking her prescribed medications and attending the medication reviews. She's attended her psychological evaluation. She's been negative for all substances for all of the screens that she's taken since the beginning of this case. And although she's still living at the shelter, but she is on the waiting list for a couple different places in town.
So right now, what's your biggest concern with mom?
The domestic violence.
Okay. And can you articulate to the court specifically how she is doing something to contribute to that?
I'm just concerned that she continues having contact with him. Although she's stated on record and stated to me that she knows that's not in her best interest, and she knows that there are things that Mr. Hamblin needs to work on, and doesn't want a relationship with him. However, continues having contact with him and putting herself in situations that lead to the incident that happened in the beginning of this month.
Is she ever charged when these domestic incidences get brought up?
Is she what? I'm sorry.
She ever charged criminally?
Not during our case. I don't think so.
Okay. And do you think that she's a perpetrator of domestic violence?
I don't believe she's a perpetrator, but her continuing contact is very concerning.
So because she is continued to be victimized by Mr. Hamblin, you want to terminate her rights to her child?
Because I believe that she's also playing a part in the domestic violence and what's going on, and she continues to minimize things that happen also.
Okay. But you said that you don't think that she's a perpetrator. So what part is she playing other than a survivor?
She just the continued contact.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
What services on the case service plan will you be offering my client now that he's in jail?
I did ask him if he's getting any services while he's in jail. He has seen a psychiatrist for prescribed medications. But while he is in jail, I'm not sure there's much more besides me kind of contact with him and, seeing if there's anything that he needs and making sure he's staying up to date on the case and things like that.
You're not disagreeing with the legal concept, the innocence until proven guilty, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't personally view any of these
No.
incidents? My understanding is the jail will now allow visitation with children by Zoom. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am.
What type of arrangements will you be making with my client if he wishes to avail himself of visits?
I would leave that up to the court to see if they believe it's in the child's best interest. I don't, just because of the age of the child. I'm not sure how much you could engage with Mr. Hamblin.
Child's how old right now?
He's what? I'm sorry.
How old is the child?
Almost 6 months.
Seeing a father's face or anything like that, you don't think that'd be significant? Any benefit to that?
I don't believe so at this time, since he's not seen him in months.
Okay. If my client wishes to engage, is my presumption correct that he should first contact you upon his release from jail?
Yes.
Has he discussed voluntarily releasing his rights with you?
No, he is not.
Okay. Nothing further.
Mr. Howe?
Yes, other than the domestic violence issues that you touched on, do you have any other major concerns regarding mom's progress through the case service plan?
No, I do think she's doing well, just, the concern that when the child does get upset during visits, that she's not able to calm him down.
Does mom have adequate safe housing at this moment?
She's residing at the shelter, so yes.
You redirect?
Ms. Sala Garza, you mentioned or you testified that you don't believe that Ms. Estes is a perpetrator of domestic violence. What did you mean by that?
Just that she has not been charged with anything yet, although she is minimizing and continues to have contact, like I stated.
Do you believe that she's an active participant in perpetuating the cycle of domestic violence?
Yes, I do.
And do you believe that that is based on her actions of continuously engaging with Mr. Hamblin
Yes,
and dropping a PPO?
correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any recross? Okay,
No.
No, Your Honor.
thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Next witness.
I have no other witnesses, Your Honor.
Witness testimony today, Ms. Berger.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland.
Let me ask a couple questions of my client. You might be sworn in.
Deputy Ames, you can swear in Mr. Cody Hamlin. Thank you.
Mr. Hamlin, can you raise your right hand, please, sir? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Can you unmute, please, before you answer, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sir, do you know how long you might be incarcerated?
I am hoping to get out this week, bonded out this week.
And do you wish to engage in services or to do a voluntary release, or given some thought as far as where you wish to go on this case?
It's something I think that I would have to maybe talk over with you in private, maybe.
Sure. And when you're out, you can schedule an appointment with my office if you wish to do so, okay?
Sure.
And did you hear the worker testify that if you wish to engage upon release, the first thing you should do is make an appointment with her if you wish to engage in services to get back on board?
Yes, I heard that.
Anything else you wish to contribute today?
No.
We'll see if anybody else has questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Hamlin, just for clarity, were there any barriers that prevented you from engaging in therapy on a regular basis when you were not in jail?
I mean, yeah, when my car broke down, that was kind of a big barrier, being out at my mom's.
Okay.
I don't really have a lot of transportation from out there.
And prior to your incarceration, were you still working?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, any other questions, Mr. Howitt?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right,
No
Any
further
other-
witnesses?
okay. Mr. Howard, anyone you'd like us to hear from?
No, Your Honor.
Comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. I was reviewing the notes that I've taken for this case, and obviously we had a long history with this family, dating back several years. And when this new kiddo was born, we had a preliminary hearing in which this court had discussed at length with the parents, especially in this court's findings, that there was ample time for Ms. Estes to demonstrate to the court how she was going to avoid the patterns of domestic violence, and that her failure to do so is what formulated the risk of harm and formed the basis for the violation of the statute, allowing the court to take jurisdiction. Because of the prior terminations, this was actually a termination initial disposition. However, we allowed her to engage in a case service plan in exchange for the plea, and that with that understanding, you would be looking at permanency at the first regular review.
Which brings us to December, which we were live to. We have the text messages now showing that they were in communication at that time. And then again, we have another review period in which domestic violence is still an issue. The idea that Miss Estes is simply a victim is inaccurate. And this was discussed at length by Ms. Heiss, the former LGAL, during the preliminary hearing, that allowing her to see herself as solely a survivor was very close to enabling her and not addressing the patterns that actually continue to perpetuate the cycle of domestic violence with these parents, which is long-term and pervasive. Given that that is one of the main issues that brought this family under this court's jurisdiction numerous times, it is still not resolved. It is appropriate at this time for this court, we believe, to change the goal to adoption, especially considering again that as relates to Ms. Estes, this was technically an aggravating circumstance case. With that, Your Honor, we are also asking the court to set this for a termination hearing in which we would anticipate having a petition filed and served at the in time to have that termination hearing with the next review and permanency planning hearing. These parents have a lot of work ahead of them. I don't think that Ms. Estes, her problem has ever been compliance to the case service plan. It's always been the benefit from the same. And we're seeing that pattern again. And it's really unfortunate because there were several years and so many resources invested into this family, and these parents are just not able to break the cycle. We are asking at this time for parenting time as it relates to Mr. Hamblin be suspended. He was not exercising it before his incarceration. And given his current incarceration and lack of engagement in services, I think that's significant. And this child would be at risk for some psychological harm and essentially being introduced to someone that child has not seen in nearly, well, consistently at least for half of his life at this point in time. We're asking the court to continue the supervised parenting time for mom. Again, I don't think that this is just on the domestic violence, but also the testimony that there's some struggles with consoling and comforting and understanding this child's needs during parenting time. And I would ask the court to limit that to the policy standards rather than any extended period of parenting time that we might otherwise offer. Thank you.
Comments, Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, we are asking for another standard review period and that a petition for termination not be filed. My client is substantially in compliance with the case plan service or the case service plan. However, the concerns of the agency are not falling on deaf ears, so to speak. She's aware that this has been a major concern for the agency. And unfortunately, I think it's come to this most recent domestic violence incident for her to realize that potentially she could be killed and that she is no longer able to continue with any sort of relationship or contact with Mr. Hamblin. At this time, Judge, she is asking for more time to continue to work on that, to continue through therapy, and to show the court that although her ability to stay away from Mr. Hamblin and to not be putting herself in situations where she can potentially be a victim of domestic violence, to show the court that she's able to do that, and to express that although she is a survivor of domestic violence, that's not all she is, that she also is trying her best to be a mother to this child and to her other children if that's ever possible again. So, Judge, at this time, we are asking for another review period and for some more time for her to continue with the therapies that are working, with her medication reviews. Her substance use has been incredible. You know, her sobriety has been great during this case. So, at this time, Judge, we would just ask for another review period. If you do authorize the filing of the petition, we would ask that she continue to have parenting time. The court report is pretty clear that she's barely bonded with this child, that it is an extenuating circumstance that that should require her to be able to continue to see him while this case progresses. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Your Honor, the first thing that I'm taking a look at is I do see a letter from one of the Cherokee tribes indicating no affiliation. But when you mention Cherokee, there are multiple tribes, and I've gone through all my documents. I don't see green cards from the other Cherokee tribes, Your Honor. And I'm curious if they were sent or will be signed by the agent necessary to accomplish that properly. So I think we're still possibly looking at active efforts for reunification until we get an answer on that. We don't have an expert that weighed in today, just dicta that it might be possibly harmful to this child to have contact with his father. I don't know if the goal is still reunification, and this is my client's first review. You're basically saying we don't want you to be the father. Him having contact with this child, at the very least, would be no more harmful than a child watching television or seeing the face of a babysitter or somebody like that, if the child doesn't recognize him. But if he is going for continued bond, then facial recognition is important at this age. Recognition of the voice is important, and it also helps when he is released from jail to engage in the parenting time if he wishes to do so. So if he wishes to engage, I would like the court to permit that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes, Chair. I'm in full support of the agency's proposal to change the permanency planning goal. I think it's due to the child's age. He's 6 months old. He's only known this home. He's only been around this placement. But most importantly is the issues of domestic violence are still persisting. I think this last review period has just been a microcosm for those issues where they were adamant that there was no contact between them. The PPO was removed, and we're right back to where we started essentially. I think the long-lasting effects that domestic violence being witnessed by a child between their parents is very well stated, and is definitely, on my mind as I make this recommendation. I worry that the young child may eventually be exposed to that, and that's something that we definitely want to avoid for the trauma that could cause. I also support the suspension of parenting time of dad. It's been sporadic at best. He's not engaging in the parenting time. Wish that the parenting time of mom continues to be supervised at the department. Thank you.
Thank you. On the Native American heritage issue, looks like there were 4 inquiries sent. We got copies of the inquiries and evidence they were sent certified mail to the Eastern Band, the Blackfeet Tribe, Cherokee Nation, and the Kiowa Band. There was a denial letter from the Kiowa Band and the Eastern Band, and today the court received a denial letter from the Cherokee Nation. Looks like there may be one outstanding tribe, Ms. Thomas, that we've got to hear from. The court had also previously indicated that it would be satisfied with production of prior ICWA research, considering that these 2 parents have had prior cases in the court. How would you like to approach that issue?
Your Honor, I believe that per policy that ICWA inquiries have to be submitted each CPS contact. And so because this is a new one, I think that we just need to follow up with the inquiries that were sent. If we're just missing that one inquiry, I believe that we can find the designated agent for the tribe and send an email to follow up and hopefully have that information by the next hearing.
Right, do you believe you'll be prepared to proceed on your request also for a petition for termination?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, well, as it relates to today's hearing, this was the second regular review as it relates to mom. The first regular review as it relates to Mr. Hamblin. Mr. Hamblin has not engaged in services. He's missed 20 out of 22 parenting times. He's neglected to build any sort of bond with his child, and I see no reason to grant an already absent parent who's completely disengaged with services parenting time. The court does have the discretion to suspend parenting time of an absent parent. And that given, also coupled with a request by the department to issue a change in the permanency goal and a request to move forward on a petition for adoption, which I will be granting, I am suspending parenting time for Dakota Hamlin. Ms. Estes is making some progress in a significant area, which is her sobriety. Nevertheless, the dishonesty that we've seen actively from the outset of the case around her relationship and contacts with Mr. Hamlin are significantly concerning to this court, especially considering how that last interaction went and the fact that she's still receiving phone calls from the jail despite a no contact provision, and her own attempts to reassure the court caseworker and other supporters that she's attempting to remedy that risk to herself, which would clearly pose a significant risk of harm to any child placed in her home. Unfortunately, I can't take her success in some areas and offset that significant risk, especially in a case such as this, where we are already looking at a shortened term, identified issues that are clearly continuing to be pervasive. Ms. Estes still does not have adequate housing, employment, or transportation. She's got some other challenges that are still really preventing, practically speaking, her from being able to take care of her child, in addition to the very physical risk associated with allowing her to have a child in her presence, understanding that her sobriety is in its infancy and she has clearly no regard for her own safety or the safety of others that may be in the vicinity during some of these instances that she's chosen to interact with Mr. Hamlin. So I can't disagree, unfortunately, with the department or our guardian ad litem that at this time, change of the goal, in this case to adoption, is necessary and appropriate. This is a very young child.
So can I
He
just
doesn't
release
need
my
to
rights?
be-
I'm sorry. I just want to sign over my rights.
All right, that can be prepared, I'm sure, between now and our next review hearing. Ms. Estes will let the department and the caseworker look at that at your request. The child will remain in foster care placement at this time in light of all of the challenges that continue to exist in this case, preventing reunification. His placement is currently the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances. We're looking at a review hearing coupled with a request on a termination petition if it's timely filed and served for May 19th at 2:30. We'll give that 2 hours to entertain that petition if it's, again, finally timely filed and served. The concerns of the court are echoed in the court exhibits that were received, as well as the testimony today. They firmly support the court's decision today, and we'll have the review permanency planning hearing as necessary, and that hearing on termination request at our next juncture. Unless there's any questions, I believe that's all for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.